Marvel Rivals released several months ago, and since it came out, it's really taken over my gaming schedule, essentially. I have played this for over 300 hours at this point, and I'm certainly no expert at the game, but during those 300 hours, I feel like I've learned quite a bit that may be helpful for new players or just seasoned players. I don't know. Like I said, I'm definitely not an expert or, a top ELO level player, but I've learned a lot of things, and hopefully some of these things will be helpful to you. So without further ado, let's get into those things. The first thing I learned about Marvel Rivals is that this game is deceptively difficult. I was very stupid when I loaded up the game the first time. I saw the Marvel IP as well as the kind of cartoon art style of the game and thought to myself, oh, this should be a pretty easy game. This can't be a game that goes incredibly in depth with systems. It's a cartoon game, which is really stupid of me to even think because Fortnite exists, which has an incredibly high skill ceiling, even with the cartoon art style. So that was, again, incredibly stupid of me, but that is what I thought going into it. I quickly realized, though, that this game is very, very difficult. Not only do you have, at the time of this recording, Season 2 came out about a month ago with the release of Emma Frost. And with Emma's release, there are 38 playable heroes in Marvel Rivals. Each of these heroes come with their own unique abilities, and not to mention the fact that there are 3 different classes that the heroes all go into. And these 3 things, the sheer amount of heroes, the different classes, and then the fact that they all have their own different abilities, all kind of meld together to make this incredibly deep and complex game. So my initial thought that, oh, this game is simple was incredibly wrong. And like I said, I'm new to hero shooters, so maybe I should have known that going into it. But I was pretty shocked at how deep this game can go because, as I said, there are 38 heroes and each of them have their own different abilities and they're vastly different. It's not like you have really any characters that are super similar. You have some that are kind of serve the same purpose, but they don't have the same abilities. So you have a lot to learn. And I found this out the hard way. I loaded up, thought, oh, this game will be super easy. I'll just play it. I'll be really good at it. And that was not correct. But after 300 hours, I've, gotten better and I've really enjoyed my time with it. Now, piggybacking off of the fact that there are so many different heroes with so many different abilities, and because there's 3 classes of heroes, there are different combinations of those classes you want to run. Do you want to run 2 vanguards, 2 duelists, and 2 strategists, or maybe 3 strategists and some amalgamation of the 3 classes? There is just so much to think about when playing this game. Now, piggybacking off that, the second thing I learned is that everything in this game has a counter. Now, the counter may not be easy to pull off, but everything does have some counter. There's some backdoor for every character that will give them issues. No character can just wreck a lobby unimpeded if you're able to do certain things. I'm not going to sit here and go through the counters for all of the heroes because I frankly don't know them all. And like I said, some of them can be quite difficult to pull off. You need some coordination with your team as well as some mechanical skill. What I will say is there have been plenty of videos made on the counters to each and every hero. And if you're having some issues with one, just go look up a guide on how to do that. But one thing that I figured out, I actually saw this in a Coach Mills video, and if you haven't checked him out, definitely go to look at his channel. He's a coach for Marvel Rivals, and he puts out a lot of good videos on Rivals, kind of going in depth and, tips and tricks and whatnot. One thing he said in one of his videos is that if you're having an issue with a character, you need to play that character. And I actually figured this out firsthand before I watched the video because I was having a problem dealing with Venom. I play strategist mostly, so I sit in the back line, try to heal. I just like to be a helpful guy. I'm just a chill, helpful guy, nothing wrong with that. But Venom was eating my lunch, just absolutely destroying me. And so I decided, well, I need to learn a tank, so I'll just pick up Venom. He's giving me problems, so he must be pretty good. So why don't I just figure him out and learn his kit? While learning his kit, I figured out that he has a very specific pain point to one of the strategists. So what I would do, if you know anything about playing Venom, is you swing in, you pop your right click, and try to do as much damage as possible. Stay in until your health gets really, really low. Pop your E, which is your shielding ability. Get a few more hits in, and then swing out to avoid getting killed. Well, I was doing that and I was having a good time, but one time when I went to swing out, Invisible Woman pulled me back in while I was swinging. As this happened, it canceled my swing and I just fell to the ground and immediately was swarmed by their whole team and died. I thought to myself, well, if Invisible Woman can do that, I now have a counter to Venom. And she just so happens to be my favorite strategist. So now when I'm playing strategist and I see a Venom swing in, no big deal. I just switch to Invisible Woman and I'm able to counter it. All good. So everybody has a counter, but some of these counters are more difficult to pull off than others, obviously. A kind of sub point of the fact that everything has a counter is that, well, you need to know what those counters are. And if you're not going to watch a video on each and every hero, which doesn't really make sense all the time, the next best thing to do would be to actually play all of these heroes to learn their kits and what their pain points are. Now, I understand that there are 38 heroes in this game, and I found that it takes upwards of 10 hours at least on a hero to really have a firm grasp of their kit. So you're probably not going to be able to play all of the heroes. Maybe you have that time, and if you do, congrats to you. That's awesome. But for people like me who don't have unlimited hours to play this game, you're not going to have time to sit there and really play each hero and learn what their pain points are. What you can do, though, is kind of just look over their abilities so you have a rough idea of what they want to do, and then you may be able to extrapolate some counters based on just the reading their kit. And if you can't, then like I said, maybe you need to go look up a video. But having a general understanding of what the heroes can do is so important. This is something I picked up when playing Apex Legends. Obviously, there's less legends than heroes in Apex, but there's still a lot of them, and they all do vastly different things, and it's important to know what they can do because then you can kind of predict their movements. And I've already started to pick up some of this in Rivals. Like, for example, if you see a Strange use his shift and he flies up into the sky for no reason, like if he hasn't been taking damage, it's pretty safe to assume he's looking for an ult. Or if you see like a Moon Knight, he's up on high ground and you see him looking around, but he's not throwing his little onks. If you see that, you can think to yourself, oh, he's probably going to ult. The only reason I know that is because I've played these two characters and know what they're trying to do. Having a firm understanding of what each and every hero can do will help you be more adaptable in combat situations. I used to be just a strategist main. That's the only thing I wanted to play, strategist. But I realized that in my ranked games, it was becoming more and more important the higher I climbed to not be a one trick, not be good at only one character. Nobody likes that guy that gets in the game and they're just like, yep, I play this character and that's the only character I play. And if it doesn't work, I just beat my head against a wall until we lose. No one likes that guy. And I used to be this same guy, but the more and more I played, the more I was like, I really need to learn to tank. I need to learn a couple DPSs. I really need to diversify my legend pool. And since I've been playing more, I have taken the time to play stuff outside of strategist, and I don't think it's wrong to have a preferred role, but I think you need to be able to play all three roles, especially if you're going to get into ranked. In the strategist category, I can really play every strategist but Loki and Adam Warlock. I can play Loki okay, but I'm not going to give you the same impact as I would on, say, Invisible Woman. But Invisible Woman, Rocket, Mantis, Luna, and Cloak and Dagger, I can give you an MVP performance on any of those characters. However, I do know how to play a couple tanks. So like I'm pretty good on Venom. I'm also good on Strange. I can give you a decent shift on Magneto, but I'm not gonna wow you with that. DPS, same thing. I've gotten to be decent on Psylocke. I like Scarlet Witch, obviously, because she's pretty mechanically easy to use, as well as people like Namor to help with dive and just a bunch of other characters. So having a preferred role is not a bad thing, but you need to be adaptable. And that's one thing I've really learned while playing this game is being more adaptable has helped me climb and get to a higher elo than I thought I would even get to. I finished season 1 in Diamond, which is not incredibly high elo. I don't think that, but I was very proud of getting Diamond. I'm new to hero shooters. I'm normally just a single player Andy, and spending that amount of time and getting to Diamond I thought was very good. So obviously I'd like to hit GM this season and just keep continuing to climb. And one way I have figured out to be able to climb more efficiently is to be more adaptable and, widen my horizons on the heroes that I am playing. The next thing I learned regards the community, and this community is a real mixed bag. Now, I hate to say that because there's a lot of great people in the Rivals community, But I've also noticed that this community can be incredibly toxic. I mean, we're already going through stuff with the strategist strike, which I have thoughts about that I will share later, but there's a lot of toxicity involving that. I was playing a game one time and, I was trying to be a good teammate. I got on the mic and asked what everyone wanted to ban. And one player on our team just decided, well, I want to ban your invisible woman when I'd already locked it. And then it didn't go through the first round, but he got it through on the second time. So that was fun. Now, even though some people can be really toxic, I've also had like very good interactions with members of the community just playing the game. So I don't think this is a like turn off your mic, never talk situation. But just be prepared for the toxicity. I think that's just the main point here. You are going to run into it and it can be very tilting at times. But who knows? Maybe they're just having a bad day, bad couple of rounds, or maybe they're just terrible people. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is you're going to run into some toxicity. So the best thing for that is to watch my video on how to tilt less on Marvel Rivals, which I will link down below. The final thing I picked up is that the devs are really trying their best here, which is kind of refreshing. Not that I don't mean to say that all devs don't care about their games. I mean, I feel like they probably do, or they wouldn't work in this industry. But the transparency that the devs from NetEase have shown has really blown me away. And not only the transparency, but the quickness of the decisions that are made has also been something that's really blown my mind. So in the middle of season 1, they announced that for season 1.5, the kind of the mid-season update, they were going to introduce a ranked reset. Now, the community did not want this. They were very up in arms about it, and there's debate now on whether or not we should have had it, but the fact of the matter is the majority of the community did not want this ranked reset. And so the very next day, NetEase came out with a post saying, hey, we heard your feedback. We know you don't want the ranked reset. We are going to just get rid of it. We're not going to do it, and it's fine. I like this because the developers are being honest that, hey, community feedback is important to us. And I think other developers may say that, but they're not as transparent about what exactly the feedback that they're taking is. But as I said, there's a debate on whether or not that ranked reset should have happened, and I would like to see the devs stick to their guns a little bit here. It's a fine line to walk for the devs to really pay attention to the community and what's going on with the game, and then also do what they think is best for the game. And it's a little bit of like, hey, parent knows best here. Obviously, the player's input is important, but there are larger systems at play that I don't think the players are always privy to. So the developer should be thinking 6 steps ahead when the player's only thinking like 2 steps ahead, maybe. Just like, I don't like this, fix it. The player may not understand that all these systems are connected, and if we do this, it'll mess with this. If we don't rank reset people, then people are going to be inflated on the second part of the season and blah, blah, blah. Which again, I don't think that the developers should just ignore the players altogether. But I think it is important that the developers stick to their guns on certain things. Now, I don't know what those certain things are, but I'm just saying I think that's important. I will give them a lot of credit, though. They are trying their best. They want to make this the best game possible, and I think that goodwill will carry this game for a long time. That's kind of the final thing I've learned, that the developers are really doing a great job at being transparent and taking community feedback and using it to improve the game. Thank you all for watching today. These are the few things that I've learned. I've learned several more, but these are kind of the big things that I've learned in my first 300 hours on Rivals. I would like to keep making these videos. Maybe I'll make one when I hit 500 or 600 or something like that. But if you want to see me learn things in real time, the best place to do that is going to be over on my Twitch channel. I stream Rivals on Tuesday and Friday afternoons from about 4 o'clock Eastern time to about 7 o'clock Eastern time, so you can catch me over there on Twitch. If you did enjoy the video on YouTube, I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to the channel. Kind of show me that this is what y'all want to see some more of, and if not, I'll move on to something else. But Rivals really captured me right now, so I probably will continue to play it. However, if you don't care about any of that stuff, I still appreciate the fact that you watched this video to the end. And yeah, I hope you all have a beautiful time, and I will see you all in the next one.